Hi guys, I wanted to show you my league starter for Expedition League. I started as a trapper and we have around 79 completion here, which is pretty good because we're sharing Atlas with Grimmer and Crouching Tuna. We teleport in each other's maps at the bosses so we can all get completion together and it's much easier to progress. And my build is a lightning trap and I kept most of the gear generic so that I can also use ice trap if I want, if I need more damage, because technically later on we might get outscaled by the content, and especially for single target I don't know if we will have enough to do the bosses unless we invest a lot into the build. And as you can see, the clear is pretty good, and also the single target for now is okay. Usually at this point of the league, which is day 1, 19 hours into the league, I will be in red maps or like in T16s, maybe farming guardians, but they nerfed a lot of the damage in most builds, and the game feels a lot harder, at least for me, because I didn't practice. I was fixing my stream setup, so I didn't really have a lot of time to practice. I only did one run, and I did it with Toxic Rain Caustic Arrow, but I didn't really like the playstyle, even though the build was really good, so I just played with something else. So I have zero practice on this, and I'm just improvising the build. I didn't even PoB it. I only PoB it once, but it wasn't this version. So I'm still doing pretty well, I think, like all things considered. On the boss, as you can see here, we have the Malakai's Artifice, so we use Armageddon brand on Malakai's Artifice to apply Elemental Equilibrium on fire, so we do more, like a lot more damage to cold than lightning, and the boss kind of dies pretty fast. And for other debuffs, we also have Assassin's Mark, because the Diamond Flask got heavily nerfed, so we don't have, our crit chance is lucky, and Assassin's Mark gives a lot of crit chance at crit multi on bosses. And the last debuff is going to be Wave of Conviction, just because of some penetration. I mean exposure reduces the resist of the target. If you really want, you could run Eye of Malice on this setup, because we debuff the mobs resists by so much that if you're close to the mobs or the boss, if you use Eye of Malice, you scale it even further. But I didn't really feel like I needed it. Maybe later on I'll swap into it. For now, I'm just using a Lightning Trap Enchanted Helmet for some Pierce, and before that I was using Pierce on the tree. And as you can see, the clear I is like pretty solid. Nothing really bad. Like everything dies pretty quick. Our crit chance is pretty good. We have a lot of dodge and spell dodge. The only problem about the build is we have a low EHP pool. So you can actually die to one shots or like mobs in general while mapping. But we have a lot of dodge from Acrophase Acro, and we also have the Blind Aura from Sabo, and we also have Quartz Flask. So most of the time you won't get hit, and if you get hit, we have Cast on Death Portal. We can just go back in the map real quick. It doesn't really matter too much. I'm still getting XP, even though I'm really squishy, because the skill is pretty safe. You can off-screen stuff. Like, as you can see here, I'm just running in circles and spamming Lightning Trap, and stuff dies like one screen away. Here misplayed and I went melee on the mobs, and even though I was melee, I still didn't die because of the Blind Aura, and they had a chance to hit me once. And Armageddon brand is really fast. As you can see, I have brands down right now, and it doesn't really feel like I'm casting them because the cast speed on Armageddon brand is so fast. You can just put it down and run in circles, and all of the mobs will be hit by Elemental Equilibrium on just fire. To make this work, make sure that you don't have any cold or lightning added to spells in your build. I mean, if you're using Ice Trap, make sure you don't have any cold, and if you're using Lightning Trap, make sure you don't have any lightning. Or if your Armageddon brand does even one lightning or cold, it will Elemental Equilibrium with those as well. This is my tree and my gear. I'll put the PoB in the description. And for our ascendancies, we're going for Burning Shadows. For the Blind Aura is just too good. And Perfect Crime is the second node. We need the mana cost of skills reduced. and some damage from the trigger and the damage for each trap we have placed. And for the third node, we either take Explosive Expert or Pyromaniac. It's up to you which one you want to choose. If you choose Pyromaniac, you will be ailment immune earlier. To become full ailment immune, we also use Dream Fragments, which makes us freeze and chill immune, and this makes us ignite and shock immune. And for Explosive Expert, it gives us a lot of damage, but it's conditional. You need to be able to burn, shock, and chill. We apply shock from Lightning Trap. We apply burning from Armageddon Brand. Our Lightning Trap also applies burn, but this is not mandatory. My weapon just happens to have some Fire 2 spells on it. And we apply chill from Skitterbots here. And I also have a Ice Trap setup leveling in case I need to switch. Most of my gear is generic. As you can see, my jewels have some multi-2 lightning skills, but a lot of them are like this, with trap throwing speed and create multi-2 spells or create multi-2 elemental skills. So even if I swap to, like for example this one, throwing speed with multi-2 spells, even if I change to Ice Trap, most of them will work. I don't have to change too much. If you can get them, try to get generic ones. It's way easier to swap out if you need more single target, but the single target was good enough for me, at least for now. And our build works because we have Set and Forget and Sunblast. If you don't have these two, you can maybe take Chain Reaction, but I don't really recommend it. I just think Sunblast and Set and Forget is too good because as you can see here, we throw a trap and it just instantly explodes. And on our tooltip, on our Lightning Trap, we don't have any duration. If we take off Sunblast, trap lasts 3 seconds, so we throw it and it waits 3 seconds and explodes. When you're mapping, this is not a huge deal because you can get a lot of trap trigger radius, trigger area of effect. You'll still trigger most of the traps even if you don't have this setup, but if you have Sunblast and Set and Forget, you can just throw traps and and just run with the projectiles, so the mobs die as you run with them. So it's a lot safer as a playstyle. This setup might have some problems on bosses, so if you want to pre-stack traps, you just take off Sunblast and you just swap for another belt. You pre-stack all your traps and then they just explode whenever they get triggered by the boss or when they expire after 3 seconds. And the combo on boss is going to be Armageddon Brand. You just pre-cast them. They're really quick to cast. Like, you can even use them while you're clearing. You can weave one in between every so often. And then you Assassin's Mark on the boss and Wave of Conviction, and then you burst him. All 3 debuffs combined are really, really good. They give you a lot of damage. For the gear, I just have some damage on one of the weapons, and on the other ones I have +1 to lightning. If you go for Ice Trap, you go for +1 to cold instead. I'm using a +2 Tabula. I paid these 2 exalts. I'm using a Lightning Trap Pierce enchant. Before this, I was taking these 4 nodes. They give me 2 Pierce and 1 Pierce. So I had 3 Pierce here for 4 points. They're really good nodes if you're going full Ice Trap, full Lightning Trap. And for the rest of the gear, just Life Resist and some Crit Sense, Crit Multi Honor Amulet if you can, some life, and you should be fine. As flasks, you can use Enduring, but I found the Chemist of Efficiency, for me at least, was just better. It makes you able to spam it more because it's reduced charges used, and also it reduces the mana cost. So our mana cost of Ice Trap, Lightning Trap is 40. When we have the Mana Flask on, it's like 28. It's really hard to see because our mana just go up so fast. Yeah, it's 28. It's a lot of mana sustain. So we're using slower prods because the speed at which the projectile travel is still pretty fast, and we need more multipliers since they nerfed most of them. We're using charge traps. Make sure that at least once in a while you are throwing your traps on mobs so that you can get the charges. And even if they expire instantly, if you're throwing them on top of the mobs, they will give you charges. And then we're using lightning trap. It's right now is level 19, but it gets scaled to level 22 from my tabula and my weapon. I'm using inspiration. I changed into this recently, but you can use whatever PoB says. It gives more damage to you in your build. Trap and mine damage and multiple trap support. I got this at level 21 from one of the gamble NPCs, I think Tujan. And that's pretty much it. The build is pretty squishy. If you want to play it, be careful because you'll die a lot. But I have custom death portal, so that kind of mitigates that problem a little bit. I probably never bricked them. I'm like bricked one map up to this point. I'm level 83. My map sustain, we were in T9s, T10s before. I completed some T10s, and now I'm back down to T7s because I sold some maps. For the sustain of maps, like straight up just buy them from Zana. You go here, whenever you get a Zana map, you just run it, and you buy stuff before refreshing. You look what you don't have completed. If you don't have completed, you buy it. If it's red everywhere, you just buy it and you run it, so that your Atlas bonus goes up. I don't have enough for this one, but I'll just go buy Alchemist to buy this one later. And that's pretty much it. You just get as much bonus objectives as you can, and whenever the Conquerors spawn, you just run them. Whenever Kirak and Zana have the exclamation mark on their head, you just run them. I don't focus too much on the Conquerors because they will eventually spawn regardless. I'm just trying to complete as many maps as possible so that I can get a better map sustain. And also I'm trying to run as many Maven invitations as possible, so I get all the Atlas node points. As you can see, I have a lot of them here already. Yeah. I'm gonna try to transition into more of a bossing playstyle later, but for now I'm just pushing the Atlas. And I know this is a pretty slow league compared to other leagues, but we didn't practice and we kind of winged it, and we still ended up being pretty good. See you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and thanks for everyone supporting the channel. I will probably start streaming on Twitch on this Leaguestart, so I will be releasing a lot more content, and see you in the next video.